And we get back in the car, and I have all the cotton in my shirt. I'm holding on to all this cotton. And I'm just picking through it and pulling off the cotton out of it and everything. And we pull into a rest area. My dad goes to the bathroom, so it's just me and Mom in the car. And Mom turns around. She's like, let me see the cotton. So I give her a few bits of cotton. And, you know, before she could stop herself, she says, wow, this cotton feels like cotton. That just kind of, that was it.
See, my mom does some derp things sometimes. Like
my mom used lip gloss. You know those really big things of lip gloss where it's like 4 in a pack and they kind of all stick together?
I think so.
And you're supposed to break them off. She was talking to Debbie on the phone one day. I wasn't watching what she was doing. She put the lip gloss on as deodorant, thinking it was the deodorant. And she calls me up. Because she didn't call me up. I don't remember where the hell I was. But she IM'd me, and she's like, you will not believe what I just did. And I'm like, what is it? And she's like, I can't tell you. You're going to make fun of me. And I'm like, no, really, I'm not going to make fun of you. She's like, yes, you will. You're going to put it all over Facebook and the internet, and your friends are going to laugh at me. I'm like, Mom, what is it? I used a lip gloss as the deodorant on accident. Within 5 seconds, it was on DA.
See, my mom, of course, was a nurse, and she would stay up really late because she had, work nights. So she'd come home and she'd sleep till about 5:30. She'd go into work at 6:30. But on the days that she was off, she'd wake up about 5:30, and then she'd prance around the house. So, all happy that she's off work. Well, I remember this happened a couple of times. My mom was so dumb when she gets up. She's as bad as I am. When I first wake up in the morning, I'm useless.
You are? You thought I threw the cat at the window!
I threw the cat at the window this morning.
The cat ran in and tried to jump into the window, and it face planted into it because the blinds were down. And she thought I'm standing, my hands are down, and the cat goes flying across the room.
I think it's because you did this. Like, what are you doing? You waved your hands. And for some reason, I
thought I hurled the cat at the window.
But yeah, no, my mom was sleeping in her underwear, like some people do. So she comes out of the bedroom and she's walking into the kitchen and she's getting a cup of coffee. And the cup of coffee, the coffee pot happens to be right next to the window that is above the sink. And I walk in, and I'm like, you're not afraid the neighbor's going to see you? Which is pretty much a joke, because my parents live up on a hill. You'd have to have a telescope. You have to have a telescope if you were across the street to see. And she's all out of it and stuff, and she grins and laughs at me, and she was like, that's okay, and then she starts prancing back and forth, I put on the show! And you gotta understand, my mom is like, God. My mom's like, I think...
No, she's nothing like God.
She's a larger woman. She's not ridiculously huge, but she is very big, and, heavy set. And
age and weight, put 2 and 2 together.
Age and weight. Yeah, so here's my mom.
Terrible thing, but
this
still.
Bra and underwear and his friends in the living room. I'll give him a shoe. I was like, Mom, really? And I was like, you need your coffee. Get your coffee. Go sit down.
A few of the other things my mom has said. We take a left at the right? And then, we're going to Tennessee and we stop at an intersection and Dad's like, I don't know where we need to go. And the sign's right there, and the sign is telling you, if you go left, you go this way. If you go straight, you go this way. If you go right, you go this way. And Mom points at the sign and she goes, Harry, it's not that hard. You either go straight, right, or right. I was like, really, Mom? I see a left and a right. I don't see no right and right. And she's like, shut up.
See, my mom didn't do a lot of dirt things like that.
My mom's done dirt things. Well, she'll crochet a whole basket, like one of those bags, like the tote bag baskets.
Yeah.
She'll freaking do that and sit there. Now we don't have any actual lights aside from the table lights in the living room, so it's in the middle of the day. We don't really need lights. We got the fucking windows, and she'll sit there and she'll crochet this entire bag. Find out it's purple later. She thought she had the light blue.
My sister once. My sister managed to My sister's really the one in the family that did more derp things when we were growing up. I remember she once was working on yo-yos. Now I know that sounds weird, but yo-yos in the quilting term, because my mom's a quilter. My sister was making yo-yos. Yo-yos are where you basically make a little pouch of cloth and then you tie it up and you sew it really tight. So it makes this little flat, puffy-looking piece of cloth. And people would sew these, like my mom especially would sew them and make doilies out of them, stitch them all together around the edges, so they made these big little plates of little cloth puppies, essentially, sewed together that were flat. And my sister's working on one, totally sewed it to her thumb, did not know. And then at the time, she came downstairs, and she sat down at the breakfast table, and somebody, I can't remember who, I remember hearing this story, but she came downstairs, and basically, or she was bleeding from the ear, and no, she didn't realize it. Apparently, she had been really tired. Woke up that morning and tried to put her earring in and re-pierced her ear, like above the actual hole, because she was so just out of it. God, I'm not sure what I'm trying to think.
My mom was trying to fix my prom dress, and then, you know, midway through, I'm like, Mom, you're sewing the dress to my underwear. She could not figure out why I kept going, ow. And I'm like, Mom, stop pricking me with the needle. I'm not. I'm holding it with the needle, yeah. And I'm like, Mom, that's my underwear.
Oh God.
I can't think of anything else.
I really can't think of anything else.
My dad works construction. He builds houses. So my dad is kind of amazing. He likes to pretend he's from a different country.
Oh God, that's amazing.
He knows 26 different languages. I actually have a voicemail from him. I should play it. But he knows 27 different languages.
And he can do accents really well.
And he can do accents very well. A lot of his clients are either Jewish, German, French, or Australian, because he works in Baltimore. And so, as a result, we'll go to the fast food restaurant. My mom cannot stand going through the drive-thru. What did you do to his hair?
I'm working on it. Chill.
But we'll go through the drive-thru, and all you hear is Mom going, oh God, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, yep, he's gonna do it. And there you go. He orders everything in an Australian accent. He gets up there, and I have to convince the damn woman in the drive-thru window that the reason she can't understand Dad is because he's not Australian, and he's plain an Australian. He did it so thick one day. They got the entire order wrong. So we get to the drive-thru window. My dad cusses them out.
I'm gonna redo this.
My dad cusses them out in French. And I was like, my dad.
I you know, just, of course, just recently, like, met her family and stuff in the past, few months.
My dad will make hand puppets, and he does everything that you would be embarrassed to try and do yourself. He's that person who, if you gave him the 100 things to do on Walmart list, he'd do them all.
Yeah, her dad, basically, we went out to eat with her parents at Golden Corral.
Oh my God, we couldn't eat.
And he starts up this conversation with our waitress, who I think was Korean.
She was Korean, and Dad started talking in Korean to her.
And she totally fluent, knew it, and just started talking to him immediately. And he kept asking her different things, the different language, and it was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. I was dying, because I mean, my family doesn't really have a lot of people that do things like this or can do things like this. So it amused the hell out of me to see somebody who has that.
Yeah, my dad, he's kind of amazing. There was one time he went into Home Depot, and he acted like a German that didn't know English very well. And so he gets...
Why do I feel this is an Anton story?
This is very much an Anton story. He goes into Home Depot, which is where we buy all his supplies for the day's job. Now, when my dad is in a bad mood, he tries to do something to make somebody else laugh, because that makes him laugh. So he puts on this German accent, and he finds one of the customer retail reps, and goes up to her and is trying to form a sentence, a coherent sentence in this German accent, trying to ask this woman where we can find this particular type of wood that we need for this house. And her face, she was so concentrated on trying to understand anything my dad was saying. And I had to turn around. And I'm just sitting here trying so hard not to laugh. And I'm like, oh my God, Dad, you gotta stop this. You gotta stop this. So he keeps doing it. How he doesn't just break out laughing, it's beyond me.
Ragnar is your dad.
He kind of is. So
the whole I'm going to make a joke and just straight face.
Yeah. So now
I have no idea what you're talking about. Anton, what are you talking about?
So you know, he's talking, and this goes on for about 15 minutes, and she's leading us around the store and pointing at things, trying to get an idea of what the hell my dad's trying to make sense of. And eventually, we find out what we're looking for. And he goes through the wood and pulls out what he needs. And she's like, do you need any help getting it to the car, or do you want to pull it around? And my dad, in the most southern accent possible, tells her, no, that'll be everything that we need, and waves and says thank you and walks right out the door, and I just die. And I was like, oh my god.
So either she just has a funny story to tell, or she's like, god damn it, that son of a bitch.
Oh, she died laughing. And then my dad loves making the public look at him.
And really, you can't, I mean, like, that
he has that humor.
That sounds like a dick move to do, what she just described, like, to somebody who works at a store like that. But really, like, if you watch him or listen to him, you cannot get really that mad at this guy when he's doing this. You
cannot, because unless he's mad, you really can't get mad with him. And there was one time.
Your dad being angry,
Oh my god, when my dad gets angry, think of Chopin, really, really fucking angry. Throwing things. He's thrown hammers across the room. He's dumped paint buckets out the window of his car. If my dad doesn't like a CD, he throws the entire CD out the window as he's driving. He's thrown his teeth out with the McDonald's bags so many times. He had the entire McDonald's crew looking at a trash can for his teeth because he accidentally threw it away. 30 minutes down the road, he realizes, shit, my teeth are in the bag, so he turns around, comes all the way back, and gets everybody to dig. They still never found the teeth. He had to go get new teeth. But there was one time during lunch when me and my dad were going to work, and it's me and my dad, my uncle, and one of my dad's workers. So we're all in McDonald's, and we're sitting there, and we're just, talking and everything. We eat, and we're done. My dad gets up, and he's like, go ahead, I'll meet you guys out in the car. So we get up. I linger back because my dad doesn't really linger, especially in the middle of a work day. He wants to get back to the job and get it done. He kind of is a Wagner. So he stands up, and at this point in time, we're at a very crowded McDonald's. People are in line. People are getting frustrated and all that fun stuff. So we go to the door after he throws everything away. He turns around. He holds his hands up in the air, and he says, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Everybody in the place shuts up. The only thing you can hear is all the machines in the back running. Everyone looks at my dad. He stands there for a few seconds and goes, thank you very much, and walks out the door. And I'm like, oh, my mother would kill you.
Her dad is he's so embarrassing to be with, but he's so much fun. Like
he will shout out at the Comedy Barn. We always get front seats. So when we're sitting there and there's something funny and the comedian's saying something, my dad will shout something out and the comedian will acknowledge it. And it's kind of funny because my mom, she sinks lower and lower in the seat.
See, I can't, I've always been the person that I have to do this in a group. I can't do that kind of stuff on my own. And so, it's funny, too, because Rattles does have these.
I do it. I follow.
The extreme that her dad has.
They're not yet. Not yet.
Oh,
but at conventions, I am an absolute menace. When we're at conventions, me and my brother, we will start up chants with Artist Alley. Me and my friends conducted an entire, with the spare art tables that they had in Artist Alley, we conducted an entire Warcraft quest hunt. And we raised $750 that way with $1 per person per quest that they wanted to do. And in return, they got wooden replicas of weapons from the game. We started that up randomly. There will be times I'll just start belting out in the song, and then people will join in with me. I do it at work. I do it at work so much. I'll go down the aisle and start yelling at people and just telling them to do this and start dancing in the middle of a phone call. But yeah, I take after my dad big time, which is kind of funny considering I'm adopted, so it's even better. But yeah, I take after my dad so much. My mom cannot stand. She can handle me being at home. My dad, if he's at home, he can't stand being at home. He's got to go to work. So once he leaves for work, I have these fits. You ever have one of those fits where you just start laughing at nothing, but something keeps that laughter going for a while until you can't breathe? We've had a couple of those.
Yeah, I've done this.
I go into these fits where it's not a laughing fit, but I just start thinking everything on the planet is funny as fuck, and I will.
Does his hair not look quite so terrible now?
That looks better.